Be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. In the course of his teaching, Jesus said to the crowds, "Beware of the scribes who like to go around in long robes and accept greetings in the marketplaces, seats of honor in synagogues, and places of honor at banquets. They devour the houses of widows and as a pretext recite lengthy prayers. They will receive a very severe condemnation." He sat down opposite the treasury and observed how the crowd put money into the treasury. Many rich people put in large sums. A poor widow also came and put in 2 small coins worth a few cents. Calling his disciples to himself, he said to them, "Amen, I say to you, this poor widow put in more than all the other contributors to the treasury. For they have all contributed from their surplus wealth, but she, from her poverty, has contributed all she had, her whole livelihood." The Gospel of the Lord. It's November. Yep. As I was standing at the door of the church, of the chapel, I was greeted, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. I think that we're all kind of in different time zones right now, based upon how much sleep or a lack of sleep that we've had, as students especially are feeling more and more stretched, more challenged by this time of the semester. It's already getting dark. There's lots to do still. Students and all of us, I think, are feeling like, do I have enough to finish? Do I have enough energy, passion, enthusiasm to cross the finish line yet again? Or for those who are first-year freshmen, do I have enough to cross the finish line first time? It's very challenging. And that's why this gospel passage can be so consoling. Jesus reminds us that what makes the widow so remarkable is that she gave all, no matter how little it seemed to everybody else. As folks who are laying their heavy boxes of gold and jewels and money and things at the temple treasury, she was the one that gave the most, even though by any estimation it was very, very little. Jesus is telling us, not only, yes, you can get to the finish line, but you have all you need, but you have to give your all. He mentions that for her, the reason why he remarks about her is that she has contributed not from surplus wealth, but in her poverty state has contributed all she had, her whole livelihood, those couple of coins that she dropped in the treasury. But there's even more to it than that. As we saw in the first reading in the widow of Japheth, as we look at this widow here, if we know anything about the condition of widows at the time of Jesus, not only was she given her whole livelihood, but for all that she knew, she was giving all that she would ever have. Only through men could women enter the economy. Only through a father or a husband or a son did women have any status whatsoever. So when she drops in her coins, she has no way of replacing them. She doesn't go back to a job. She doesn't own any property in her own name for sure. If she has no son, she's entirely without resources. She gives everything without any possibility of return. That's the extent of her gift. And that's what Jesus is remarking at. This is why later in the Gospels, as Jesus is dying, it's so important for him from the cross to give Mary, his mother, to John, the apostle. Mary needed someone who would care for her and bring her into his home. Otherwise, she would have been like any number of widows begging in the streets. What is he telling us? Not only that we need to be generous ourselves, but in a way we need to have that same abandonment. I'm going to quote a line from a movie that I like very much, and I don't often talk about movies in homilies, partly because if you haven't seen it, it's really hard to convey what the movie was about, but also the potential to be a spoiler is really great, and I don't want to do that in case people want to see it, but it was a movie back in the 90s called Gattaca. It starred Ethan Hawke, if you've ever heard of him. He kind of made a big name when he was in the Dead Poets Society. This was about a decade after that. And I won't go into all the details, but it's a futuristic science fiction film. And it concerns two brothers, one who was born, Ethan Hawke, born with a heart defect, with bad eyesight, with, kind of a lot of other ailments, whereas his brother, who had been conceived by genetic engineering, was just a stellar athlete. And they used to, when they were kids, have this little game when they were at the beach of swimming out into the ocean, and whoever stopped and turned around to come back lost the race. And when they were younger, the more athletic brother was always winning. And then suddenly, in young manhood, Ethan Hawke starts to win and swims out further and further, even beyond after his brother had turned around to rest up on the shore. And at one point in the movie, the brother turns to Ethan Hawke and says, "What happened? How was it that you were able to beat me, given what you're dealing with and my strength? How did you beat me consistently?" And Ethan Hawke says, the character says, "I stopped saving anything for the way back." And it goes against every instinct of self-preservation to do that, to give your all to the point that you don't even reserve some strength for the way back in. But it's what allowed him to succeed, to excel. It's what the widow does in the gospel tonight. She gives completely without in any way saving for the way back for the rest of her life. And in giving it to God, God takes care of her. Imagine if we did that, as stretched as we are, as tired as we are, with our life of faith.